Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about solving equations and using manipulatives, or we could call these models, just kind of physically showing a little bit about what it really means to solve equations. So this starts with, you could use algebra tiles. We're going to use these to symbolize a positive and a negative. So right, a plus sign is going to symbolize 1. A negative symbol is going to signify a negative 1. So if I had two pluses, right, that would equal positive 2. If I had two minuses, okay, that would equal negative, oops, let me put that right. That would equal negative 2. Okay, so that's kind of just, if you're still confused on this, I have a couple of videos on adding and subtracting with these that you can watch that I'll link to. We're going to jump right into equations. So let's say you had an equation, x plus 2 equals 6. Now you could probably solve that in your head. What number plus 2 equals 6? Well, 4 plus 2 equals 6. So this is more about the process and the procedure for using these. I found that sometimes if students can figure this out and know how to use these symbols, then even when you're working with bigger things, you can still kind of mentally envision it. So the way it starts is we're going to put an equal symbol. And on the left side, I'm going to put 2 positives. And on the right side, I'm going to put 6 positives. So I have mine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. So we've got x plus 2 equals 6. Now we need something to symbolize an x. For my case, I'm just going to use a little eraser thing that'll just symbolize our unknown value. So we've got x plus 2 equals 6. Now we want to always isolate the variable. That means is at the end of our equation we should have x equals something. So I want to have just this left and then only these little tiles on the right side. So to get rid of a plus, I'm going to go back to thinking about when I talked in my other videos about these symbols. If you have a plus 1 and a minus 1, that's the same thing as saying like a 1 and a negative 1. And if you added those together, it equals 0. So anytime you see a pair that equals 0, you can technically then take that away because you can take away 0. 1 minus 1 equals 0. So if I have these, I can take this and I want to get rid of these two pluses. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 negatives and I'm going to add them to the left side. Right? And I'm also going to add my 2 negatives to the right side because if I ever have an equation, if I do something on one side, I have to do something on the other or else it's not balanced. So if I add 2 negatives, right, I have to keep it equal. So I added 2 to each side. Now I have this plus that, which equals 0, so I can take that away. I have this plus that, which equals 0, so I can take that away. All right, I can do the same thing over here. Take away 2, this pair, take away this pair, and I'm left with just this x thing, this thing that symbolizes my variable, and 4 positives. So this shows us right here that x equals 4. Okay, so I can see right here that's x equals 4. Now we can also solve these kinds of problems if I had like a subtraction problem. X minus 2 equals 6. Okay, so I would start out by putting my x. Now minus 2 is the same thing as plus 2 negatives, so I can do 2 negatives. X and 2, I'm going to put my equal sign, and then I'm going to bring over 6 positives to make this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I want to get rid of these 2 negative 2. To get rid of those, to isolate the variable, I'm going to have to add 2 positives. So if I add a positive there and there, and if I add a positive there and there, right, I'm not changing the value at all because I kept it balanced. So I added 2, I added 2. Now I can take away any pairs. Take away 1 pair, take away 2 pairs. Now on this side, I have no pairs to take away. So we can see that x is going to be equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Which is absolutely true. If we think about this, x equals 8. We could try it, so we would plug this back in, and we would see 8 minus 2 equals 6. I'm going to do one more real quick. If we had negative 3 equals x plus 2. Okay, so we might sometimes have negative numbers. So I'm going to start with 3 negatives. I'm going to put my equal symbol. I'm going to put my x, and I'm going to put 2 positives. Now x can be on either side, it doesn't really matter, but I want to isolate the variable. I want to leave just this left, so I want to get rid of these 2 pluses. To get rid of them, I'm going to have to kind of take away 2 or add 2 negatives. So if I add a negative and a negative, remember if I add it to the right side, I have to also add it to the left side. Now I have some pairs. This is equal to 0. This is equal to 0. And I see that x is going to be equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's 5 negatives. Okay, you can write it like that, or you can write it like that. So this is just one way to just sort of visualize what algebra means and what equations really means, especially with one-step equations.